Hello and welcome to GadgetGuideUSA. Thanks for watching episode 4 of my SwagTron T1 Torture Test. Today is going to be the water test, submergent test, splash test, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, the SwagTron T1, if I don't make a mess here, the SwagTron T1 is supposed to be water resistant and or splash proof depending on what pamphlet you're reading. Essentially, I think they mean the same thing. Of course, water resistance and splash proof are very similar. I've taken my Swagway X1 through puddles, which you're not supposed to do, by the way, and it did fine. Rode it in light rain, got it pretty wet. Of course, I've never submerged my X1, and it's still working, and I don't plan on submerging it. However, the SwagTron T1 was given to me just to destroy, so that's what I plan on doing today. I apologize if the wind noise is bad, but I'm filming outside, and that's kind of just the nature of the beast. I'm going to try to talk loudly and make sure that you can hear me over the wind, but at the same time, things are bound to happen. I don't have the expensive wireless equipment that everyone else has, so wind noise is just something we have to deal with. I have a windscreen type thing over the microphone. It's not doing a great job, and I understand that, but just bear with me here as we go ahead and go forward the test. So of course you've already seen me do the flame test and the roller test. And you see I have this bucket of water here that was painstakingly, I might add, filled from a water fountain, which is the only source of water in this general area. So I have it. So first we're going to start with this single bucket, and I'm just essentially going to dump the bucket directly onto the Swagway, or the SwagTron, I'm sorry, the SwagTron T1, and make sure it rides. The next step is just going to be a little quick dunk into the pool to see if it continues to work, which, like I said, the SwagTron T1 is not supposed to be submerged in water. It is supposed to be splash resistant waterproof only, but we're going to put how far I can go into submersion to the test. So let's start with pouring it on it, make sure it works after that. The next step is going to be a quick dunk. Then after that, maybe a 60-second dunk, and then a 5-minute dunk. I'm not sure whether the 5-minute dunk is necessary. It's not supposed to be waterproof, but at the same time, let's just go ahead and continue, putting it in water till it breaks. If it makes the 5-minute dunk, I'm going to call it good. But let's go ahead and get started. So we got my water here. I'm just going to move the bucket a little. Yeah, I'm going to get a little wet. That happens. Okay, so we have our SwagTron here, and we're just going to dump water on it. Need to be cleaned anyway. I've been riding around. I did have the battery is a completely full charge. Get it right in that little crack there. Pour some in the wheels there. Nice in there. Okay, I would call that a good splash. So, alright, let's see if it still works. By the way, it's fully charged. I'm leaving the unit on throughout all these tests, and we're going to see how it works. Oh, that was my fault. Okay, so the rubber pads being soaking wet kind of reduces your grip, so it's probably not good to ride while wet. At the same time, it seems to be working fine. Responsive. Exactly what we wanted, really, as far as water resistance and waterproof and all that good stuff. Okay, so I think that is a pass splash test. At the same time, the next step is actually going to be submerging it. So I'm just going to give it a good dunk. That's a little way, but alright, it's still on. Let's give it a submersion. Alright, that went all the way down to the wheels. Okay, that seems to be working. Giving it a full dunk, I have enough water in there where the water was completely over the wheel wells. Did not seem to affect operation, I'm going to say. Even though we are eventually going to break the SwagTron by putting it all the way in the water for a long period, I would have to say it's going to pass the splash resistance test as it passed full submersion, only for a partial second, but that's the way it is. Let me go ahead and get my phone ready, and we'll go ahead and start the next test so it can be timed. Okay, so we're back, and I really did mean to bring like a cheap stopwatch or timer or some such other thing. But unfortunately, I forgot it. So I have to pay the price and use this expensive LG G3 as a timer while standing over a bucket of water. That's a horrible idea and I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, it's what I'm limited to. So the first time, I'm going to go ahead and submerge it for a full, you probably can't see that, 10 seconds. Notice it's still on. I'm not turning it off or anything like that. Let's go ahead and dunk her in. 10 seconds. Wow, that's a lot longer than I thought. It definitely should not work after this. 1, go. Oh my God. It's still working. Okay, thank you. So I guess it's past a 10-second submersion test. Now I'm starting to feel guilty. I don't want to break this thing. It's a survivor. It's lasted through the roller test. You know, the safe stop test. I've rode it quite a bit today. Full charged it multiple times, and I've been playing with it as much as possible. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and put this to 30 seconds. Oh. All right, so it's now on 30 seconds. Let's go. Still on. It's acting kind of funny. So, it's definitely not very happy. It still rides, but there apparently is something wrong with the foot position sensors, because even when I'm not standing on it, it's detecting the foot pedals are down. Most likely it's like a photo sensor, so when it pushes down, the light passes through to let you know that you're pushing down, or it blocks the light. So I would guess it has something to do with that. I've taken these apart before, but at the same time, it's definitely... Oh, I can hear the water in there. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Did it die? Yes, and it died. I probably should have tried the 30-second submersion. Still turns on. And it still rides. You saw the water I was dumping out of it. It's literally still full of water. I can hear it sloshing around in there. Well, I feel bad for this little guy. Okay, so something is happening. The water is making it turn off. But when I turn it back on, it still rides, which is amazing. So we have 30 seconds on the clock. My biggest fear now is it's just going to turn off when I put it in there, because it's turning off on its own due to the submersion. But still pretty amazing. Alright, so we have 30 seconds on the clock. I do not expect it to work this time, but at the same time we're going to find out. And the clock goes. I can see all the air bubbles coming out. My biggest fear is that when I stick my hand in there, it's going to shock me due to that the 36 volt or 42 volt 2 amp battery. That's enough to kill you. I don't think it's going to kill me, otherwise I wouldn't stick my hand in there. But at the same time, our time is almost up. 0 seconds. Okay, so these sensors are going crazy. You saw the wheel spinning by itself. At the same time, I think it might still be working. Okay, no, it shut itself off. Okay, worked kind of for a second there. Now the on-off button isn't working. Okay, so let's dump some of this water out and see if it works. You can see how much water is in there. I mean, I literally filled it. Oh, you can still hear tons of water sloshing around in there. It's making all kinds of beeping noises. The power button doesn't work. Okay, it seems the power button is shorted out. The sensors don't work. So we definitely broke it. It's definitely broken right now. But the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to turn it off if the power button starts working. I'm going to let this thing dry out, and I'm actually going to try to turn it back on and see if it works. So I passed the splash test, I passed the quick dunk, it even passed the 10-second submersion against all odds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry out. Probably just going to go ahead and buy a bag of kitty litter, toss it into a trash bag with it, maybe let it absorb some of that moisture, and let's see if it works afterwards. Stay tuned. So I figure while I had it here and it's doing its thing, I just want to show you exactly what it's doing. Let's go. It's just this, we have this red light beeping that normally does it when there's a foot pedal position sensor error, and also has this red light right there, and it occasionally blinks green. So essentially I think is what it's doing is the foot pedal position sensors are messing up like they were. Of course, like we submerged it for 10 seconds in water, and it looks like it's having battery problems, which, you know, under most circumstances in a hoverboard, I'd say, oh my god, I dipped it in water, we should be dangerous. But at the same time, I've already put a torch on this battery for 30 minutes and it didn't explode, so I'm really not too worried about it, to be perfectly honest. But I just wanted to show the exact symptoms. I mean, all the stickers and stuff are in good shape, and I'm hoping that after it dries out, it'll work. If it does work after the 30-second submersion, I'm probably not going to submerge it again because this thing's a trooper. But at the same time, it seems to be broken, but that is as expected. And we're back for the end of the SwagTron T1 Torture Test, episode 4, the Water Submersion Test. As you can see here, I have my SwagTron T1 and it is dead. I let it dry out and did all that. I honestly expected it to work. A few minutes after I killed the camera, I kept playing with it. I had it sitting basically just like this, letting all the water drain out, and it drained for at least maybe 10-15 minutes, and it was still kind of dripping out. And I tried to push the power button, and the unit actually came on. It wouldn't balance, and it wouldn't register. I guess, well, it beeped when I pushed on this, but it wouldn't balance, so it was obviously broken. The power button did start working, though, so I had a lot of hope when the power button started working, like, hey, maybe it'll go ahead and recover. But even after giving quite a bit of time to dry, I'm not sure if the power button is working now because the entire unit is dead. So either we've shorted the battery, shorted something important to it, maybe the overvoltage protection has went off, something has happened to where the unit is completely dead. Doesn't do anything when I push it. And to be frank, I was afraid to charge it since I've already submerged it in water. I didn't want to put 42 volts at 2 amps, which is what the charger delivers. In any water, it's dangerous for my house. I understand this is a torture test, but at the same time, I'm not willing to risk, the entire building of my studio, charging it there overnight, which is not recommended, or, charging in my personal home right next to my, where my wife sleeps. So I didn't see any available good options as far as charging it. So I just decided to say, hey, it's dead. It passed the splash resistance test. It proved it. It's water resistant. To go a step further, it even lasted through a full 10-second submersion. Maybe the star was acting a little bit funny, but at the same time, I think if I would have let it dry after the 10-second submersion, it probably would have worked. The 30-second submersion definitely did it in. It's broken. And of course, I have 2 more. I don't remember the color. I don't remember the colors at this point, but at the same time, it's completely dead. I may come back after a day and check it. But eventually what I'm going to do is at the end is I'm going to destroy them all in some type of great fashion, flamethrower explosion, something cool. I mean, at least if you've watched through all these episodes, at the end you deserve something special, and I'm going to give that to you. But at the end of the day, the SwagTron T1 definitely passed its water resistance test. It lasted through a 10-second submersion and was still going, amazingly enough. Of course, it did have a few problems, but at the same time, they're not designed to be submerged at all. So it went above and beyond the submersion test and definitely passed. And overall, I mean, it's dead, but at the same time, we expected it to die. I hope you enjoyed my video today. Comments are always welcome at the bottom of the page. Subscriptions are always appreciated. Thank you. And if you ever have any specific questions, comments, or suggestions, please email me at GadgetGuideUSA@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.